What's that? You want to know where I've been for the last 6 months? Well...
I woke up this morning, but I didn't wake till the afternoon because I slept in late with a great mental state and a date with destiny. I rolled down the block without a cop or even stressing me, let alone arresting me or giving me a ticket. It's coming into summer and the weather's fucking wicked, so I figured I'd be hitting the beach, look at skinny dippers' titties and get something to eat. After half a pound of chips and a flounder burger, I was sitting on my ass like a council worker, reminiscing about being pissed off about a house burning down to the ground and being out on my ass before my change of fortune. Now I score tunes, don't get up before noon. Said your mama's on the head of my knob, and it's better than heading to my dead-end job because the boss was a cockhead when I was a clerk. So I clocked him and now I don't work. It's a beautiful day and I can use a cliche cause I am the greatest, like Cassius Clay. I got the world at my feet and my toe jam's nasty. Fuck, I'm good, just
So yeah, it's been a crazy year already. I'm sorry that the FPV live stream has kind of taken a back seat to all of the things that are going on. However, this last weekend at the MultiGP International Open, I had a lot of people come up to me and be like, hey man, we missed the live stream, bring it back. So after some thinking, after some decision making, after some priority rearranging, it's back and on the air every Wednesday at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your parents, come on down. We'll see you here for the rest of the show. And I've been muted that whole freaking time. Gosh dang it, I hate it when I do that. So I mute my audio for when I'm like trying to join or when I'm joining in, so that it's not like you don't hear me like clicking away or whatever. Anyway, all I was saying was I'm having some technical difficulties with my car or with my screen over here, so I apologize for that. And we're joined by Adam's cat instead of Adam tonight, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, I have a quick video that I want to show you. I found like the coolest spot, and actually I have this posted here so that Adam can see it too. And so here, check out this video, and I'll be back in just a couple seconds. I hope that this doesn't like blast your ears or anything. I am still here, I can talk over it, but like this place, like this spot is just about the coolest place ever. It's freaking like awesome woods and a water tower without a fence around the bottom. There's like a playground, there's tree dives, there's elevation change. Like, it's just insane. It's so cool. Adam's cat is the best co-host ever. Yeah, I don't disagree. probably end up. I'm thinking about actually making this single take into like its own video. But we'll see. But it's just such a baller spot. Skill, luck, both on what? Is it really bad quality coming through? It doesn't look too bad on my end, but who knows? Anyway, so is that the tower you climbed? No, it actually isn't. But yeah, so we'll jump right into the build here. Sponsor. Okay, we got Adam back instead of his cat, which is a little bit disappointing, but hey, we'll take what we can get.
What can we do?
So tonight, what we're building is the Hyphy. This is actually Adam's creation, so he's going to introduce the build, while I kind of start assembling some bits and pieces. A lot of you probably have built or seen Hyphys before, and yeah, so Adam, take it away. Tell us about the Hyphy.
It's a frame, it's an axe, it holds motors, a flight controller on it. Camera, if you're lucky, might fit. VTX, props, and it flies. So, this is our creation from a year ago. It's been a full year since we designed this frame. I think that the anniversary of the prototypes is like right around the corner.
What was your goal with it when you originally created it?
It was one of those situations where I liked this frame, I liked that frame, and I liked the other frame, and maybe one more, but none of them had it all. So I kind of just wanted to sit down and design the one that did it for me, the one to get me off.
Oh.
Wound up moderately successful.
It did. How many have you sold, if you can say?
There are about 200 out in the wild at this point, just shy of it, I think.
How many arms are broken?
About 2,000. We don't count those. Somewhere, the chat will not load here. I'm coming, guys, don't worry. I'll be there for you in a second.
Matt S. asks, how is it that Paul is wearing orange and Hyph is all murdered out? Actually, this isn't orange, this is red. I think it's just...
No, it's orange. We can pretend.
I've got really orange lighting in here. I would... or both Adam and I would love it if you guys take the opportunity to really quickly share this stream on social media and stuff. I hate having to do the kind of shilling out sort of things, but the only way that we can grow is if more people can help promote this stream. I think it's been helpful to people, and I hope that you guys agree. So if you take the time to go ahead and share, that would be freaking awesome.
There's a Reddit post I could use a little bit of love to get it bump up a little bit here.
Yeah.
Just to Gunquick says, wait, I want a secret prototype build. This is about as far from as secret of a prototype as they come. This is a 1-year-old grandpa frame at this point. Tried and true.
Sorry about the noise.
The secret build, we can't talk about that. Sean Cancan says, almost bought one, but then I bought a Kratos. Alright, I'm gonna give you guys back my cat. I'm gonna go do something else.
Mm-hmm. And
we
did
have
you...
Sean Canham and Daniel Canham back to back.
Nurk, you shill kindly enough for it to be effective. That's bad.
I really need like a phone hold. I need someone to come hold my phone. I wonder if my cat will like hold it up here so I can watch chat and not be staring down the whole time.
Alright, so I guess why are people asking about the secret build? Are people trying to see the new?
So someone in this chat designed something new this week with which to outfit the members of the Indy 5 that are heading to Reno, Nevada for the championships.
Oh yeah.
And that same someone couldn't keep his mouth shut and had to talk about it to everybody. So now everybody wants the details, but you can't have them.
No? I thought I've seen pictures in regular chat. Or is that the only place that it counts?
Maybe this is our way to get them into FPV chat. If you want to see the super secret project,
Ooh.
you gotta join fpv-chat.com.
So, I got a question for you. I'm thinking. So the purpose of this build is actually for me to experiment with a 4-in-1. Last week on the live stream, we were discussing top-mounted 4-in-1s, and what I meant by that is that the 4-in-1 is actually above the flight controller, and that will allow really easy changing of the 4-in-1 when, not if, when it goes bad. And so I am wondering, Adam, I wonder if I could put the VTX all the way on the bottom underneath the flight controller. What do you think about that?
That's usually where I put my receivers. So on these frames and the new ones and everything, there's a 6mm or 5mm tall nylon block nut there. And that's just high enough to fit an X4R. And I think that a Unify plug is 5mm tall with a board underneath it as well. It might fit.
Do you think it would get hot?
I think it will get hot, yeah.
All right.
There's no means of airflow coming in under there.
Where's my receiver? Might have to go a little...
What receiver do you put in there?
So I use the... I'm a Futaba pilot. And so this is the... where is it? I just had it out a second ago. Like, I literally picked it up and set it aside saying, oh, I'm going to use this in a minute. God dang it.
What are you putting on there?
What was that?
What are you putting on there? Are those O-rings?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm watching from across the room over there. I should probably maximize the video.
So this is the Futaba 3001 SB. I have pins on it currently, so I guess we'll have to take those off first. Because with the way I was building it before, I had a lot of space to work with up there. What about, so that does that mean that we're going to be setting the VTX directly on top of the speed controller?
If you use like VHB and mount it to the top plate,
so
you make the little plug that's the thickest part of the Unify, if that hangs outside of the stack, like up by the camera or in the back, it shouldn't be interfering there.
Okay. Where did I put that receiver?
Because these have components on both sides of the boards, and that's not how we usually build, and not what our usual power distribution boards have, so it's a little bit trickier.
Gosh, I had a ready-to-go receiver sitting out here somewhere, and now I've totally misplaced it.
Daniel Cannon says, don't forget to unlock the Unify before you tuck it away. Yeah, if you shove it down there. Well, we always have to have it accessible. One way or the other, we can reach that button.
And you can unlock the Unify through Smart Audio, which is how we're building this one.
I am so excited to get that running. The quads I've been running since like November when I built these triplets, my race rigs. They all have F4s and Unifys and X4Rs and perfect capability of running Smart Audio, but I've just never set it up.
And you're running like horrible FPV cams, yeah?
It might be a little bit on the cheap side. It might not also be set up the same. It's kind of a potluck. It's this time of the day I need this quad. It's that time of the day I got to grab that quad. That camera's just always messed up, so we never touch the other quad.
I actually kind of love the idea of that.
It's great until you have the optimal quad for that lighting situation, and then you crash it and break it, and you need to get to the next one.
So you're flying the day quad at night, or the night quad at day?
What's that?
You're flying the night quad during the day, or the day quad during the night?
Kind of what I was doing today. We just got back from practice, so like scrambling into the door here. And I was running the quad that I ran at the International Open. I plugged in my goggles for the first time. It was just white. I had my brightness all the way up and my contrast all the way up. Like I could see nothing.
So I'm just currently tearing apart this receiver so that we can
Yeah, Drone Eclipse, we're doing a 4-in-1 on this one. So we're testing this new theory. Did you explain why we're putting 4-in-1s on top? And
I kind of did, but you go ahead and give it a one over.
So the idea is that we've always avoided 4-in-1s like the plague, not because of the monetary investment. We're fine with that. We're racing, we're spending money, we've accepted that. Accepted our fate on that front, but it's because it's obviously lighter and it's more protected in there. But what sold us is that if you think about it in the sense that you already have an XT60 soldered on at home, you have it ready to go on your spare 4-in-1, you kill one on the field, there are 12 motor wires on that thing and one plug to your omnibus or XC that you have to swap, as opposed to one single ESC, which is 7 wires to swap. So it's really not that much work, and there are 12 easy wires to it. They're all big old motor beds. So we're kind of playing with the idea that maybe they're finally worthy of our attention as racers. We can actually swap them out quickly, but we decided to put them on top of the stack, so they're accessible.
Yeah, so that's kind of the theory we're going with, and so we're kind of just hoping it works out. And yeah, so I'm sure I will report back before too long on how it actually goes. So I'm just trying to depin this real quick.
So we're talking about having different presets, different camera presets ready to go. This is a hot topic. I don't know if you've been around all in our Indy 5 team channel on this that we've been looking at, and I've heard about this before, but we finally, the Wizards started diving into it. The fact that Betaflight is starting to implement the code to let you adjust your camera's OSD and settings, like with instead of using that little dongle thingy, you can do it through an extra motor output from your flight controller and adjust all of your camera settings. And with the new run cams, you can swap camera settings, swap presets on the fly.
Yep.
How friggin' nice does that sound?
That sounds pretty awesome.
That solves 90% of all our video issues ever.
So like I've never had a problem with like having to change my camera settings around until the International Open.
Yeah,
because
that was a very interesting element to throw into play, flying under the lights.
Yeah, so the International Open at the World Cup track, we flew. Well, I only flew all day, but people were flying all week on the course during the day. But because the team race at International Open was delayed long enough, it ended up being that the sorry, mind blank. It ended up being that we had to fly it at night. And to fly it at night, they didn't have like LEDs on the gates or anything, so they set up giant like stadium spotlights. And unbeknownst to me, my camera settings were very poor for that situation, where they've been fine everywhere else. And so like in my last attempt at the course, I got up, started flying, and completely got blinded by the lights. Like it was unbelievably bad video for me. I couldn't fly at all. And I actually finished, but I finished 5th and was out of the race. So the moral of the story is, on every single quad now that I ever build, at least racing quad, I have to be able to access and change the camera settings so that I don't get in another situation like that.
I was actually on the new top secret brand that we're not going to talk about, trying to put big enough hole in the bottom to where you could just stick the OSD wires in there without having to do anything on it. And then I heard about this new Betaflight stuff. Yeah, that was definitely an interesting thing you have to fly around. Nobody really accounted for it. Most people's settings were perfectly fine. Some of us, not so much. Yeah, which 4-in-1 are you using, Paul?
The one that I have right here is actually the detonator from Ready to Fly Quads.
Good guesses.
But once I get them in, what was that?
A couple people guessed that.
Oh, okay. Once I get them in, I will be putting the T motor 30 amp or 35 amp 4-in-1s. All right. So receiver is all done, and I need my leads to come out the bottom.
This one says nice kink in the antenna wire.
What's wrong with the antenna wires?
You're getting a little kinky.
They're fine. Stick one out this way. So
Custom FPV asks, how many quads do you have? Is that a question that either of us can answer?
I think that's like asking what your salary is. Like, it's just not appropriate. Like,
That point is good.
or the answer is n+1.
Yeah, it's always n+1. I'll show you the wall, but it's a bit barren right now. They're mostly all parted out.
I think I have 4 flying right now, maybe 5, depending on what you count.
If you count the noodle arm frame that I had, that thing was getting worked tonight. That's not in good condition. I think I have 5-ish that are flying. Probably 10 more in pieces. Green Eclipse asks, so is 35 amp more the recommended nowadays, 2306 motors? I don't really think so. I mean, 35 amp is a nice bit of overhead, and overhead is always nice. Before I'm going with how my new build is going to be a new 35 amp one, or 2-bit, just because a little bit of overhead isn't going to hurt you. I don't think it's necessarily necessary.
Yeah, the way I would look at that is that it's because if the 4-in-1 goes bad on you due to overdraw or whatever, it would always be better to have extra current available, in the sense that you would generally underdraw, and so you wouldn't have to swap the whole thing every time. That's the way that I've looked at it. So I'd rather have a bigger 4-in-1 than I ever would with a regular ESC.
Yeah, I don't think that we're... No, does anybody in chat know or Paul, do you know the average amp draw in, like, some of these larger motors?
I think you look for, like, a top amp draw of, like, 32 amps, generally. It's my lazy man's way of melting hot glue.
Slidey FPV is looking for how to adjust the power settings in the TBS Unify. You can go to TBS's website. They have a PDF you can download, or like a web page linked through that has the whole manual on there. Or let the chat guide you. So I think 3 people have asked this one. I'll see if it'll come up again.
Okay.
They're wondering what we think about DR1 and multi-GP nationals.
I think that it's awesome that there are enough events out there that people have to make choices. I think that's freaking sweet.
It's unfortunate that the one that had to make that choice was the reigning 2-time champion, maybe. So
yeah.
We just got our registration stuff sent to us by Chris Thomas. He's making his rounds for all the pilots that are going to nationals. And if you read through that whole page on the Eventbrite, it did say at the bottom that Sean's there defending his title. So I don't know if that was copy pasted or if he'll actually be there in some awesome change of events, or he's just trolling us. We'll see. But
I think Sean fully said that he's not going to be there.
He definitely told me, like, as we were walking to fetch our quads after, he chatted a little bit, and he didn't sound super excited about it, and just an unfortunate situation.
But hey, money is money.
Yep. You melting some hot glue with your soldering iron?
Yes. Yeah, problem with that?
Your soldering tip has a problem with that, likely.
Nah.
So White Spy is talking about his new 32-bit 4-in-1 ESCs at 35 amps. That's actually the ones that I'm going with on my 3 new builds.
So I don't yet believe in the 32-bit stuff yet.
What isn't there to believe in? Like what part of it?
I don't know. Well, I guess the ones that I had were just not great.
Yeah, we had some prototypes, and you couldn't flash them, and there were issues that got solved.
Oh, that's good enough, actually.
Ours were very, very early prototypes. The ESCs themselves are fine. I never actually killed one physically. I thought that I did, but it was just a startup issue that sounds like they resolved.
So I just had an idea. What do you think about only putting like 2 standoffs in here? Like, well, so like I'll keep all 4 standoffs, but what if I only put like 2 spacers down on this flight controller, so that when the 4-in-1 goes on, it's only being like held up by 2. Also, why can't I get this thing on?
Is that in case you bump it and it just breaks off, or what's the advantage there?
The advantage there is less to take off when I need to swap it.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing we think about. It's 12 solders and 4 nuts. As arduous of a process as removing 4 nuts is.
Ugh.
I mean, I guess it would work. I don't see why not.
Good God.
I hear Nurk always turns what's up 500 watts because he's immune to hammers.
Ugh, I can't get this off now. That's what she said.
And there's only 2 in there and it's stuck on?
No, there's all 4.
Why is this so tight?
I don't know.
What have you
Tolerances?
done to that poor thing?
Maybe these things are bent a little bit. I just gotta bend them all in a little bit. I'm just trying to do a dry fit before I start wiring everything up.
What those wet posts did you see earlier? Was that in relation to multi-GP and stuff in Yara? Is that one that is on the topic? I wonder if it's like, do you think he's officially said that he's not going to be there?
I thought Sean said that he's not going to be there. In that thread. I'm making these holes a little bigger.
So I have the stream pulled up where I'm watching chat, and yet I hear Paul live. So I'm hearing this drill, and I'm looking at his hands touching the board and wondering what in the hell is making all this noise, and then it all catches up. This is the most confusing thing. So what is a good way to shorten the antenna? You mean the receiver antennas? The receiver antennas, I always just wrap them around the standoffs a couple laps.
Oh, really? Like you just you spin them?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I always heat shrink it backwards across the board.
I do that as well, yeah.
That usually gets rid of enough length for me.
I also run X4Rs, which have pretty obnoxious length antenna. But the only part that's important to straight is the exposed part. Like that's where it's being received. I don't know if any bad things are happening from wrapping around after that.
I guess since White Spy is here, do we know what the detonator's VREG puts out?
They're saying that the 3D printed part is in the way of your X260 pads.
No, it's not. XT60 pads are on the detonator, which will be up at the top.
Check your email, Adam. I did just see that pop up. Let's see. Should we see if we're getting some new top secret things that we're not going to talk about here, Paul?
I don't know if we can not talk about it. Also, what do you mean we? He's going to send them to you. Leave me in there.
He's gonna send them to me, but y'all are getting them.
Nah, it'll be months.
How do I work an iPad?
Why do you have an iPad?
That's a real question.
I don't know if I can use this XT60 thing on this. Or, I don't know if I can use this VTX thing on this.
The antenna?
Yeah.
It might be getting in the way there.
I think it's going to get in the way.
That actually raises a good question on the new one. Where do we put the antennas?
I thought you had little zip tie mount things.
I do.
Oh, I've got an idea. What I'm going to do, I think, is, so the Hyphy top plate, oh gosh, where is it?
Alright, so let's go ahead and look at a little bit of the bag. I'm not going to show them.
This, I don't have a Hyphy top plate. It's going to be a short build.
You don't have a top plate?
I don't know where it is.
I mean, a top plate, so just no extra ones.
It should be here somewhere, but I don't know where. Well, we'll chug along. I've got 2 that I can borrow from other quads if I have to.
I have one that I can hand you to the camera here.
Thanks.
Actually, I probably have like 12 of them sitting around me.
What, you're not going to drive over right now?
Do you guys want to? Yeah, let me call back into the Hangouts from my phone and drive over, and we'll stream the journey.
That would actually be fucking
They're
hilarious.
actually really fun. Those are really fun to watch, but we're not gonna do that. Wiggles wants to know: are you painting it? Since I won't. You can.
I don't paint anything. I don't do arts and crafts.
Slide by FPV Snurk. FPV. When you heat shrink the receiver antennas, do you leave the ends exposed or shrink it to the very end?
Do not leave the ends exposed. They don't need to be left exposed.
Yeah, the exposed bit is exposed from the shielding. There's actually like a braided wire around the coating of that wire. Heat shrink doesn't shield like that does. So heat shrink is perfectly okay. A zip tie being in the way is perfectly okay. They're not going to interfere with anything. Don't you have a teleporter? No? Working on it. It's over there in pieces.
It's at my house. It's only one way.
Yeah, it's only one way.
Dude, that would be the most inconvenient thing ever. Oh my gosh.
It's a one-way teleporter, the coolest place ever. They're really far away. Matt S asks, what's a good 7-inch prop? What were those things? If you guys look on Nerk's Instagram, he has a picture of something we'll work on later. Another top secret thing. It's actually not top secret, it's out there. But it has like giant cartoon spoon propellers. What the hell are those?
Well, so I was, I buy all of my props pretty much from Twisted Quads. And I was on their site, and I saw that they were listing some 7-inch props. I was like, oh, that's cool. So I clicked, and I saw props that I've never seen before. And it turns out that they're 7-inch dowel props. And this is what they look like. They look like an emergency spork spoon. Like, this is a 5-inch prop for comparison. It's just so big. This is a big 7-inch slow fly prop that I've been trying out with a couple rigs. And it's pretty great. It doesn't fly that well, but we'll take what we can get. So what I'm counting on with this 4-in-1 is that the 5-volt regulator on it has enough to do the flight controller and the camera. And then I have a separate regulator that I'm going to run the VTX off. So right now I'm wiring the camera straight to a 5-volt rail right behind it. And then I'm also going to wire up the video and ground to the omnibus. So this is a 5-volt rail right there. And that's ground. And then the outside is input and the inside is output on this thing. And the video is closer to the back, if I remember correctly. So we should be able to put that up there. And the video on the back. Like so.
Spectre asks again, we're going to keep answering this one over and over again, why the foreign one's on top. We're doing it for field repairability, accessibility at races, to be able to hot swap these out.
I'm just constantly trying to do dry fits in here and make sure that everything's going to be...
It's like 90% of building. Soldering and all that's easy. It's the dry fits that are going to be tough.
Yeah.
So that the new quad is going to be tight. The new frame is going to be a real part in the slammed configuration.
So I assume that this is 5-volt out because the rest look like motor wires. So I'm going to cut that off there. Just pop that off. Ooh! Sorry. Sorry.
The chat's already smelling smoke.
I haven't even, I don't even have an XT60 on it. Alright guys, let's see if we can get this up over 100 people. Go tell your friends that this is happening right now.
25 away. We can make it. Yeah, White Spice says I bet they get better airflow on top. That's, airflow better. That's definitely a legitimate point as well, because if I can go, I need a ton of cooling, right? It's not getting super hot. The VT or the ESC's airflow is important. There will be a video transmitter on top of it, but there should be enough air flowing up there that we'll be good to go.
Okay, so now with the 4-in-1, how do we do this? So we've got M1, 2, 4, 3. So it's supposed to be this way. That's annoying. So I guess we'll put it this way. And so 2 is really 1. But is 1 closer to red or closer to yellow?
I was wondering this whole time, or the whole day today, when I was thinking about this stream, whether or not you went through and moved those wires around and planned that part out already. If we were going to have to watch you figure this little puzzle out.
Do you know the answer?
No, I don't have a diagram in front of me. I have one of those somewhere, but...
Well, let's look it up.
Let's look at it in here. Looks like... Well, black is ground. We can safely assume that.
Red is probably 5-volt.
Looks like yellow is yellow 1. Red. Oh, no, mine are all different, right?
Oh, there's no freaking...
Go to the wiki page.
There's no
There's
diagram.
a wiki. On RTFQ, there's a wiki link at the top, and that has all the diagrams for everything he carries up there.
What?
And nobody knows about it.
I didn't know about it.
Dude, why do I have... I'm looking at this detonator in here, and I just have the most chewed up props on this thing. Look at this. I think it's flyable. I'm amazed that didn't even break.
Seriously. I don't see it.
I have no idea by looking at mine, because I know that I take the tabs out of the plug and put them in where they need to go. So for those of you playing at home that don't understand what's going on, with the 4-in-1, you can arrange the board the way that the motor pad, each corner, is labeled, but that's often not the most optimal way to do it within your build. So you can rotate that any which way you want. You just have to pay attention to which wire coming out of the plug is supposed to go where in the flight controller. It doesn't matter which ESC goes into which thing, it just matters that it's all the motor that's on the pad for this wire goes to the correct ESC port, or flight controller port.
White Spice says in Slack. Did he send it to you?
He sent it to you, I think. So that's me.
I don't have a message from him.
Is it in general?
Oh, wait. It's not in general. Okay. So let's see. M1 is closest to NC, which I assume is voltage.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying just use resource mapping.
I'm not using.
That's not.
I'm not using 3.2.
Even if you were, that's not how you would want to do this, unless. So the idea here is that we're gonna have multiple cloned rigs that all have the same ESC. If you gotta hot swap it in the field, we can prep our ESCs by plugging them in the computer beforehand and flashing them and getting them ready and covered and everything if they're on DShot. But you can't be going and remapping different wires and stuff. And I guess theoretically, if all your builds are the same, they'll all be the same remap. But it's always better to use the wires, wire it correctly. Same goes for, I don't know if you do this, Paul, but with your ESCs, if you have to reverse it, always do it mechanically. So with your extra ESCs that you have in your bag come race day or when you're out in the field flying freestyle or whatever, you can swap when they're all correct. You don't have to pull out the laptop and switch it back to whichever one needs to go.
See, if I ever hot swap it, that's when I do it mechanically.
That's when you do it mechanically? You do it?
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't matter, because if you fix it mechanically later, if you just reverse it mechanically later, it's kind of the same difference. But
right.
I was like, I put 4 ESCs on a build. When I like fleet out, I put 4 ESCs on a build. I have my extras. I take the ones, like I flush ones on the build, then I swap the whole set, and those are my extras now. They're all flashed, ready to go, calibrated, good to pop on in the bag, and then I configure the new ones that I just put. Just a lot of stupid soldering.
Okay, so I need two. No. I need 1 to go to 3. So white is 1. It's going to motor 3. I need 2 to go to 1, which is the green one.
Am I still here? Hello?
You're here. I hear you.
I just got an error on my phone and iPad saying internet. Something like that.
And then I need 2 to 1, yeah. 4 to 2. And that only leaves 1 spot for 4, which is to 4. Okay, so let's double check that. So motor 2 is really, so M2 is motor 1. So 2 is green, should go to motor 1, which it does. M1, so wire 1, which is white, should go to motor 3. Does. Wire 3, wire 4 is motor 2, so yellow should go to motor 2. It does, and then the last one is good. Okay, so sorry that was a little confusing, but I hope that makes sense, at least what we are trying to accomplish. So that should mean that if we plug this in, the flight controller will boot. So let's hook up our XT60 and see if that's the case. So what I'm going to do with this is so I flipped it over and I'm going to tin the underside of it, and I'm going to try to send the XT60 kind of out the butt and down because I undermount my battery.
Oh, so I have a tip for you on that. If you lay the wires across the bottom of your ESC, like going all the way across the board or whatever, and solder them on that way, then when you curl it down to reach the zip tie slots in the bottom of the frame, they'll just kind of make an inwards little arc in the back of the frame.
Oh, okay.
So that will kind of have them more encased in there, not sticking out like the blue fire.
Gotcha.
And also make it interfere less with the VTX, the mounting thing. Spectre says, I think it would be much faster to switch an individual ESC and ARM than to switch a foreign one. Donald Race over, and no, it definitely is. We're not saying that this is going to be faster. We're hoping that this is fast enough. I mean, maintainability is always key in case anything goes wrong. Something always goes wrong. So we're just hoping that this maybe isn't so bad. It's not as bad as we thought it would be, especially with just a plug, the flight controller. That's really convenient. Yeah, it's soldering all 4 motors is 12. Soldering one ESC is 7. So it's a little bit more soldering, but it's very easy soldering. You can have it pre-pinned. You can get one pre-pinned and ready to go.
You could even do it almost without even taking the quad apart.
Yeah. It's true because they kind of hang out the sides there, don't they?
But
Well, not on that one because it's got a super wide top, don't they?
yeah, you've still got to do some. You've still got to open it, but. So something like that.
I'll be able to see in like 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
Oh, little Vecky Boo in the house. What's up, Vec?
Whoa, what? Where's he at? Oh, there he is, building all the things. There, yep. On his new channel too. Everybody go subscribe to Vec FPV's new channel.
Is this like a sub bomb back?
Sure. A sub bomb back.
The sub bomb back?
It's a bomb back. So I just realized that I have kind of a stupid thing.
It's
So my plan is to run my video transmitter off of this 12-volt regulator that I've got on here, because I like that nice clean power. But that means that I need 2 more connections between my 4-in-1 and my
oh, yeah. That's adding in another connection.
yeah,
Power off of it.
which I mean isn't the end of the world by any
I guess
means.
that's what we're doing though. How do we avoid that? I didn't actually think about that part because yeah, all of our power is always going to be coming off of those, unless you know, we won't run a VTEC flight controller. That's the detail that we've missed in this entire adventure.
I'm thinking like, what if we just did it with a plug? Like, what if we used a servo lead or something?
Well, that could also be something that you pre-solder on. I mean, a replacement Unify cable is $2 or $3 or something. You could pre-do that in your XT60 on your spare that's in your bag, ready to go if you break something.
Yeah.
We're kind of piling on you got to do all these things back at home before you go out to the fields, but that doesn't bother me. I mean, we sit at our bench every night. It's not really a big deal. Just want to make it so it's serviceable in the field.
Right, and it is. I mean, it's just sticking out the back here. Like, it's so easy. But it is another step.
But at least it can be an at-home step. Yeah, we could do how does servo lead work though? Because we'd have to have some sort of plug wouldn't really work because you have to have a
Well, I was thinking about just like, what if we just put, let me try this. So I've got some pin headers here. And I think that I could.
Beck says I can see 4chan on the screen.
So I'm off screen. I'm tinning my pin header,
You're tinning your pin header.
and then I'm sticking it down onto the voltage regulator here. Just sticking straight up, like that.
So I've been like sitting here watching the chat on my phone, which is why I was looking down, and I'm looking at what I thought was your build. And I thought that you had been doing something off screen for the past like 10 minutes, ever since I asked if my internet went out. the stream stopped playing, and it was just like a picture of the quad sitting there. I'm like, man, he's not getting much work done right now, is he?
Adam, you're the worst co-host ever.
Yeah.
Co-host isn't even following along.
The cat was better, right?
What did you say? The cat was
Cat was
better?
better, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Nope, that's not
Have FPV chat open on the screen?
So this is how it would work in theory. So we would just have
They want to see the quad, not FPV chat.
Oh shoot!
You know,
I
the
forgot
wrong thing.
about that. My bad.
I was looking
Link.
real close, hoping that wasn't like some private message or something. They'd see all the dirty nothings we whisper in each other's ears, I think. That says, speaking of that's not what he said at all. He says, speaking of co-hosts, I'm in the hunt. Dude, I got a cat right over there that held down the fort for the first 5 minutes of this live stream like a champion. If you want her number, I'll give it to you.
Why are you looking for co-hosts? You've got like 80 of them.
So we're good on that. You can see the quad now. There you go. I love that we use Hangouts, and it has a little picture of you just smiling at everybody.
I can't get rid of it.
Like your web browser. You need to do a, rather than doing a screen capture up there, you gotta do a region capture. And you drag and drop over the select range, like with OBS.
Yeah, I guess that
I
makes
remember
sense.
my first live stream.
I don't remember mine. Might as well bring it up. It's going to come up in the show tomorrow. Uh-oh. Sounds like drama.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a roster change there. So.
Gotcha. Okay, so here, this is what the theory looks like. We've got a servo lead coming out the bottom with a positive and negative, and then down here is the servo pin header that I put onto the VTX or the VTX VREG. And so all I have to do is plug in that servo header. If that didn't suck.
They're asking if the inside of that connector is blackened or if the camera was just letting
It's
you
not
see.
blackened. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, don't get me wrong, but it's not blackened.
Yeah.
And then
What was it? It was on my...
set the whole thing down. And so now you could actually even unplug your VTX really easily like that too. Ooh, I kind of like that.
Then you still have to put that on your spare, right?
Yeah, all you have to do is put on that servo lead like that. So there's a servo lead coming off of the same place that the XT60 is mounted. And so when you assemble it, the XT60 is already on there, and then all you have to do is plug in the voltage regulator, which will then be connected to the VTX. And it's just one extra step.
So what is the advantage of doing that
You don't have to solder. Over what?
Over just soldering an extra Unify cable on there?
Because the Unify has to run through the flight controller.
Oh, for the OSD, right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. It works, and it works well, but I don't like it.
No?
I can't think of a better thing to do, but...
I really like it, actually. I mean, I can unplug my VTX without having to touch the video
you don't have to
train.
get your tweezers in there on the little tiny Unify
Yeah,
connector
exactly.
or anything anymore. Is it a red XT60 though? It
Yes,
looks like it.
it's an Atmospheric Adventures XT60. Which, that sounds like I was making a joke, but like, that's where I got it.
Life in the Flyer says, why not pre-solder 4 motors to the spare 4-in-1 and then just swap all 4 motors and the ESC? Or why not just build 20 quads? Why not? Why not? Why not?
Yes.
We're doing all of the above. Alex Quebecki says there's a smaller connector you can use much better for this.
Well, there probably is.
I think there's always a better connector than what we use on quads, though. Like UFLs versus.
I'm not using a goddamn JST though. That's for sure. Oh, I haven't done a VBAT either. VBAT. We forgot about VBAT.
And that goes to
The flight controller.
and we missed a few wires here, boys.
Well, I'm thinking about the 4-in-1 building process. So I can run.
VBAT comes out of the plug.
Yeah, but it has to go from battery to flight controller.
No, that goes through the plug. That goes into the flight controller. Or no, VBAT not.
Yeah, so like battery voltage monitoring. The flight controller needs to know what the voltage of the battery is, and the flight controller is not connected directly to the battery because it's a 4-in-1, or because it's the omnibus. It runs out 5-volt. Although I think there's some that run straight out battery. So what I can do with my build here is run an extra VBAT wire down to my little voltage regulator here in the back, and that will remain, and that will avoid anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Just a couple wires.
what we're still trying to do is make a 4-in-1 modular and fast.
It's the dream, boys. Don't shoot us down. We're making it happen.
Remember, we're experimenting. That's the whole point of this live stream. Like, it's just like I wanted to take that conversation we had to an extreme and figure out what would it take for me to not hate 4-in-1s with a fiery passion, because I've pretty much already committed to them.
Yeah. We went pretty deep on that.
Balls.
So should we tell them what's coming?
It's up to you.
I think we'll make them wait. Another 10 minutes, and we'll bring it up again and decide.
I jumped the VBAT from the detonator to the FC, and a separate 12-volt rag fit in my VTX. Well, yeah, that's exactly what we're doing here, but we need it to be faster to change all of that.
So, I mean, one solution is that we have 3 clones. You're doing 3, right?
Yeah.
The new ones. So we'll have 3 clones. So that's generally on race day when you're spotting, say there's a 5-heat race, 20, whatever, I can't do math, pilots. Then you have
20 pilots.
20-something pilots, 28. What's a multiple of 24 pilots? That's a very little race, isn't it? I don't know. I can't multiply 8 times anything right now in my head, or 6 times anything for that matter. There's a handful of pilots. We got 5 heats in this race, and
It sounds like an elementary school math problem. If Adam has 6 heats to race,
anyways, so there's a handful of heats in between when you walk up the spot, the heat before you, and your heat. So you're looking at about a 20-minute window, give or take. So you have 2 extra quads. Worst case scenario, 1 goes down. Worster case scenario, another goes down. So if we can make this change within 2 rounds, that's generally pretty good. Like, I would say that's okay. It's not ideal. Ideally, 1 round would be enough. 1 round's the dream. 2 rounds is acceptable, I think, when you have 3 quads.
another thing to think about is it's going to be hard to reach the USB.
USB? Did you put it in the front?
No, but we'll want to run the wires straight down out of the speed controller. So like I'll have to just avoid the USB. If that makes any sense at all.
I don't understand what the USB is doing.
Well, so the look at the screen for. Oh, I guess you can't see the screen in real time, can you? So we've got 1, 2, 3 ESC wires that are directly over top of the USB for the flight controller, and I want to run the wires from the motors straight down from here.
You're talking about the motor wires over the ESC, or the ESC motor wires over the USB port of the flight controller.
So I guess I'll just have to avoid it. Avoid the flight controller.
You could, on this build, bring them up over on the standoffs and solder them from the inside.
Yeah, that's what I think I'm going to have to do.
Yeah, saw one thing about bullet connectors already. White Spice's forum, which should have some kind of press/no solder connections for the motor wires. Remember bullet connectors?
No.
Remember how convenient those were?
I never used them. I've been direct soldering since day one, bitches.
I think I chopped them off of some motors on a build I was doing for someone else. On a some Rotor X motors had them or something. David Richardson asks, I missed the first part. Are the receiver and transmitter already under the FC? I see the antenna wires, but not. But where's the SMA?
This is the VTX right here. That's the only thing that'll be on top. The receiver, if you look real close, is right there. There. Dang, this thing's really light without motors.
What is this one? Get in F60s or something?
Yeah. Until I get some F40 V3s. Alright, so I guess now is a good time to test power it up.
Ready for the smoke, boys.
I'm grabbing my multimeter first, so I don't have a backup 4-in-1. I mean, nothing should be shorted. Yep, okay. Should be good. Need a light bulb. Okay. Magic smoke in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Flight controller powered up, which is good. I'm going to plug in the VTX and test that before we start putting motors on. Grab me an antenna.
It's kind of interesting. Ezekiel in 1974 says on the TS100 soldering iron, upgrade the firmware and it becomes a whole different beast.
In what sense? I've heard about upgrading the firmware, but
I don't know what benefits it would have.
VTX powered on, which is a good sign. I don't know what channel it's on now.
Hitler reacts to Rotor Riot is in the chat.
And we've got video. Awesome.
I really need like a tripod for my phone to hold it up. If I could just stare down at my desk all day. They're all stream. Maybe I'll put my camera down on the desk just looking up. That's something here. Someone asked if either of us are doing the spec racing.
Like where?
I think we missed it.
Is there more? I think it's done.
The only part of the spec racing that International Open that I've heard of, it plans to bring it to the weekend races and stuff like that, but it has to have the individual chapter support. And we're super excited about it in our region.
We were talking about making our own spec class with
Yeah.
blackjack and hookers.
I'm gonna ask what your favorite spec frame is.
Probably. Well, so I have to say Atmospheric Adventures Aeolus, but it's a bit heavy. So I'm gonna go with the Mach 1. I think out of all those.
He did an interesting thing with his arms. They have like 2 mounting holes that kind of branch off on 2 different pieces of carbon. I thought that was clever.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anyone else do that yet. I'm very curious how those hold up and how that does, and it's an interesting idea.
All right. So what I meant to do before the stream was, but I ran out of time, was extend these motor wires. So we kind of got to do that. So now is a great time for Q&A. If anybody has any questions about pretty much anything, definitely ask it up, and Adam and I will answer it for you.
So everybody's saying Hyphy spec race. That's every day at practice. The Indy 5, just about.
Yeah, really. Today, all three of
fly
us,
Indy 5s.
were flying like nearly identical Hyphys.
Yeah. We actually, there was a heat, and I don't even remember it happening. I feel like I do, but I feel like my memory's making it up. But there was a heat at the International Open where 5 of the 8 of us walked up to the line and set a Hyphy down.
Somebody
And
took a
like
picture.
if I was
I think Paul Adkins took a picture.
Paul Adkins.
He was running the flight line at the World Track.
I'm curious if that's anywhere. That would be. I'm really surprised that I didn't realize it and snap it, but that kind of thing's cool to see.
Yeah.
There's nothing like more humbling than showing up to a race and you set down a line and someone next to you sets down like something you made. Like that made every hour that I've put into it and every ounce of stress I've put in all these frames and everything worth it. Like it's so cool to see that.
Yeah, the couple times I've seen a non-broken Kratos, yeah, I feel that.
I remember chasing a Kratos at the season opener race at CQR and just being like, man, it's just like practice. I'm following behind Paul. And it wasn't even you. It was like someone else, and I did battle with him all day in my heats. Was it
Cameron?
Cameron was flying him for a while there.
He flew him for a long time. I think he's broken only one of his. He just switched to some like duper light stuff.
So when Paul's done drying his hair, we got some questions rolling in. Hyphy Master Race? The answer is yes. David asks, how do multi-GP chapters work? Is it city, state, or region, like Midwest? So it goes by areas. Like it's generally kind of centralized around a city, but there's, like Bay Area and that kind of thing will have their own chapters. So it's just someone in an area says, hey, I sort of chapter. The system looks to make sure there's none within, whatever their minimum range is of where you're trying to start that chapter. And from there you go into the process of, you have to do all these things to get like charter status, and then there's different tiers where it gets upgraded. But so there are individual area chapters. There's multiple in states, there's multiple in regions, but there's usually only one per city. I think it actually blocks from putting actually in the city. And then there are regions.
Wait, really?
Regions.
That's interesting.
What about blocking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, unless I'm mistaken, like they were trying to make like a second one in the Kentucky area to kind of reactivate it or something. They had to get it all transferred over.
Dang.
Their chapter went inactive, and someone else wanted to kind of spice it up.
Maybe Bluegrass can confirm for that.
Yeah, that's exactly who, and I think he's in here.
I saw him earlier.
Yeah, Blue, let us know. Was that what happened? You couldn't start another chapter because there's already one registered in your area. Yeah, then there are also regions, and regions are how the regional series works. And several chapters fall within a region. You kind of map on MultiGP's website that divides this country up into 15 or something like that. 10? I don't know.
That's a good question. I actually don't know.
Yeah, it's actually something I feel like we should know with how active we are with MultiGP, and we're close to all the guys that run and everything.
Yeah.
It's like one of those weird facts that no idea. But when it comes in for regional finals and qualifiers, so for qualifiers, chapters will have qualifiers, usually 3 within a region, and then all of the chapters in a region converge on one centralized site, usually the biggest chapter there that has the best venue or whatever, and that's where the regional finals take place. Chapters are localer.
Localer?
I've seen anything from That's the word. That's a word. Hasn't even come blue yet. Let's see what else we got. They want to know the Airchair story. That was epic.
Yeah?
That looked so cool.
Do you like that?
Flying was talking about the guy sitting down. No, I like the when he did a flip and then you did a flip. It was one of those, like, every now and then you see something in FPV and you're just like, damn. For some reason, that was one of those that did. I don't know if it was, I didn't expect him to do a flip and then you flipped and it just worked really, really well, or what it was. But
I was trying. Well, so like that was one of my main goals for the day, was to figure out how can I get the world to rotate around us, basically. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think there's like, I got 3 shots where it worked. One of them he crashed on, so I was like, oh darn. I think all 3 of those shots made it into the video. But yeah, it was so his name is John Bowman. He's 51 years old. He's been doing Airchair stuff for like the last, like, I don't know, I think he said like 20 years, maybe 15. And he lives in just south of Indy, and we met at a race, and we got connected by some people, and basically just said like, hey, you know, you two should meet up and do a video at some point with the Airchair stuff because it's so cool looking. And I was all over that because it was right after I did the wakeboard video that we first got connected. And the wakeboarding video was good, but my brother-in-law is who was doing the wakeboarding in that, is really an okay wakeboarder, and so we knew that I knew that there was room to make it a little bit better. And so when I talked to John, the Airchair guy, he was just like, oh yeah, I can, you know, do flips and rolls and all these kinds of things. And I was like, well, that would look really, really cool on camera. So we met up. I went down. I did a couple rides just on the boat, shooting with the handheld, so that I could kind of get a sense for how he was going to do it, or like what exactly to. It's like I just didn't know what to expect from him. And so that was pretty eye-opening. And then after that, I went back to the dock and flew the quad, my long-range 7-inch Hyphy from the dock, and yeah, just tried to capture it as best I could.
It just blew my mind when you did a flip or a roll or whatever you call it. Like, I did not expect that to happen. I was like, dang, it looks like the most relaxing way to.
Right?
Chill behind a boat. And all of a sudden he's like, woo! I was like, what?
Yeah, and like the hardest part about it, and at the very beginning of that video, you see me get hit and fly into the water, is that it was unpredictable for me when he was going to actually do a maneuver, because all he did, it was a very, very subtle body movement to actually get it to flip, because all he has to do is kind of lean forward, and it it kicks down to the water and then kicks up and does that flip. And it's so hard to see that on FPV. So like, if I didn't know when he was going to do it, and that's why I ended up crashing right away there in the video. Is because all of a sudden he's just upside down in front of me and I'm going straight at him. I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah, there was one, I think it was just an Instagram post that you shared in chat the first time. You kind of like pulled back from him. I was like, whoa, don't get too close. And then he flipped, and I was reacting to kind of pulling back, and all of a sudden you guys are rolling. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Someone asks, Ezekiel asks, what are your thoughts on the stretched helix?
Well, so as a frame, it's okay. It's not my favorite. It's really hard to build, and it would be a pain to maintain in the field, and it will really only succeed with like super light gear, which I don't really like that much. So you have to run like, you know, high KV, low prop kind of sorts of things. But the one that I built, it's got T-Motor F60, 2400 kV or 2600 kV F40 Pros, and it is easily the fastest quad I've ever flown, because there's no aerodynamic issues. It's got super high strength, high-speed motors, and I put the Avon props on it, and I swear to God, it just goes 0 to probably over 100 instantly.
I got to see him fly it today. I've never heard a quad sound so crazy. It's the loudest quad I've ever heard. The sound profile is completely unique on those props. And, I mean, hearing it go from 0 to 100 makes this crazy, like, ramp-up sound, and then it kind of echoes back. It was the wildest sounding rig I've ever heard. I think that's what most blew me away about it.
Yeah, me too. Like, I put a bunch of nice gear on there. And I didn't really want to, because I don't think I'll fly it, like, as a racing quad or much as I definitely won't fly it as a freestyle quad, because that's just not what it is. But I'm thinking about leaving it assembled just for that shock and awe factor. Like, showing people what drones are for the first time and just doing that. Good Lord. Like, it would just be like, all right, I got to do that now. Have to fly drones.
I mean, I've been building and flying quads for nearly 2 years now, and that shocked and awed me. Like, it was just like, what is that sound, dude?
I have to get the GoPro on there and do some speed runs with it, because it's just so cool.
All right, there's one question that I'm avoiding in the chat, but we need more questions.
Okay.
A couple in here.
Which one are you avoiding?
Well, we said 5 minutes. We'll add 5 more onto there.
What?
All right, we'll do it now. Someone said, where is, how to phrase it? What setup are you flying at Nationals?
In Reno? Depends on if you're competing against me or not. If you are, I'm flying a stock RMRC Vortex, or IMRC Vortex. If you're not, then I'm flying my usual. Actually, no, not my usual. We're kind of changing it up a little bit. We're trying to lighten the load a little bit. Multi-GP tracks lately have been very battery burny, so I'm trying to find a little bit of efficiency, lightweightness, all those buzzwords. And so I'm going to go with T-Motor F40 V3s, which are a nice balance of power and efficiency. 2400 kV. I'm going to run T-Motor F35 amp 4-in-1 ESCs. I'm going to run a secret prototype frame from Hyphy Multi-Rotors. Futaba receiver, TBS Unify, Runcam Micro Swift, and what else am I missing? I think that's it. Props will
You changing your antennas?
Props will
What are
be
you doing for your
Cyclones. What?
What are you doing for your antenna? Your video antenna?
I'll probably stick with the Fox ears.
Fox ears, huh?
I don't think those are antennas.
You do stubbies or the full size?
Full size.
I don't even think I remember seeing those on your quad, other than the piece that you picked up in the field today.
Yep, that's
Yeah,
that's all I ran today, actually.
So I'm going to be sticking to UX 2306 2400 kV motors, because I just bought a ton of them. I'm okay with those motors. I kind of want to go T-motor through and through, but we have a ton of white tops.
You have a ton of white tops. I do not have any.
What's that?
Don't say we. I don't have any of those.
Here, I have a ton of those. Switching to a 4-in-1 as well, which is why Paul is leading the charge on these experiments here. I'm doing the new Ready to Fly quads.
I'll be right back.
32. It's a 32-bit, a BLA 32-bit ESC, 35 amps for the overhead. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. There's a little bit more wiggle room on the amperage. It also has the voltage limiting or current limiting or whatever. So extra layer of protection, hopefully, on there. Going with that, I'm going to switch to omnibuses, finally. Utilize Betaflight hosting so I can finally tune my quads for the first time ever, second time ever maybe. So that'll be nice. Unify stubby Triumph. I don't like having a big old antenna out there. Never had an issue just running a stubby out the back. I really want to try the stubby AX2s. They look tiny.
The UFL ones?
The UFL ones look really nice, but I hate UFLs. And I mean, I agree with everything you wrote in that article about UFLs. Like, they're not the right connector. And they're a pain to switch. I'm not going to do any of the UFL right hand, left hand, whatever's from different companies. I have them out there. I don't want to mess with that. I like just SMA screws on and off. But the SMA or the SMA X2s, like, it's literally this little cap here plus an SMA on the bottom, and that's it. Like, they're the tiniest little things. But they are not out yet. Those are interesting. But I'll be running Triumphs, front cam micros, because all of that will fit in the new frame that we designed. So we all of the members of the Indy 5, except for our one guy that flies 4-inch, fly Hyphys, what Paul's working on right now. Went to the International Open. There's a lot sitting in line at the World Cup tracks that you thankfully avoided. Like, not in the first one, but there's a lot of sitting in line with your quad in front of you in a line of quads. When you look around, you kind of realize everybody out there is flying what we call needle arms, very skinny arms, low profile arms. Some are 5 millimeters wide, some are. Everyone's got like a more minimalistic frame design, lots of weight savings everywhere they can get it. And we've always been of the mindset that weight doesn't really matter because you can learn to fly whatever you're on. Heavier is not faster. Lighter is literally faster, but it's harder to control. So it always comes down to preference. But like Paul mentioned, these multi-GP tracks are getting huge, and they are battery melters. It's getting annoying having to worry about that so much on these heavier frames. So we designed from scratch with Jaws from DRL, one of our guys that flies in the 5 here, Nurk, myself, Fizzy, Wizard who's in chat here, and Kato, Jaws' brother. Kato's micromotors.com. We all kind of worked together, and the Wizard was more just kind of advising us and kind of giving us his input and stuff. But we designed an entirely new frame that we just ordered prototypes tonight. Like, they're right now from the factory, going back and forth, and we're trying to get them rushed over here from China in time for arenas. We'll all be on brand new frames. Really stoked about them. I love the one that we've been flying, but it's been a year. It's about time for something fresh, something a little more high-end race oriented. So super
It's gonna be sweet. I am so excited about it. I think I was thinking about it in bed last night. Not like in bed, but
that's I'll take it as a compliment.
I mean, like I was falling asleep thinking about like, oh, this will be fun.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where like we did a little. You asked me why I designed the frame that you have there, and it was one of those. All these different frames have these different features about them. So I kind of took what I liked about all of them, put them together. So now it was more of every step that I took on this thing, I was pinging all of these guys in our team channel and Slack chat saying, what do you think about this? What do you want on this? Like, the arms are completely Jaws and his brother Kato's idea. Like, we're trying something really different there. And, every step that I took and everything that I did on there was what the team wanted. So it's kind of becoming the official team frame of the Indy 5.
Yeah.
We can say that.
Yeah.
So that has me super excited. It's not just me. So when the arms break, y'all can't be like, no, your stupid frame sucks. I'm like, no, it's his fault. I just do what he wanted.
So it's a cover up butt syndrome is what's going on.
Yeah. So I mean, I worked a little bit of magic. Oh, and white noise also helped a lot. Kevin, our buddy.
Oh, really?
He gave me a few very clever ideas that I implemented here and there, and some good feedback, and a handful of others. But we made a frame that we wanted, and it's nothing new and revolutionary, but it's got everything that we wanted. Did things a little bit differently here and there, and there's some nice options that I was able to work in. You can build it really slammed, or build it a little bit taller, so you have a little bit more build room. It's only run cam micro, can't fit anything else in there. You might be able to fit a mini, but probably not. Yeah, there's like you can put your camera a little bit further so it doesn't have the top plate in view, or you can pull it back and get a lot more protection. And just lots of options and what the team wanted, so we're stoked on that.
I know it's not a popular opinion, but I actually like purpose building stuff around things. So like the fact that we built a quad for the Runcam Micro, I think is just the coolest thing ever. Like I really, really like that.
Mm-hmm. So there's kind of 4 elements when you're designing a frame or almost any component, and they're like compatibility with how much you want to support. There is aesthetics, there's durability, and there's weight. Those are kind of the 4 main categories I put into a frame design. And the order of those 4 principles is completely different than on the one you're working on now. That was designed to be kind of anything goes. When I made that this time last year, foreign ones were just now starting to come out, so I didn't want to do an integrated PDB because that gets in the way of a foreign one unless you just kind of don't use it. It's awkward to have it there. You know, I didn't want to include a PDB because there are PDBs with OSDs on them, which now we don't do those anymore. So that one was kind of designed to fit everything and do it all kind of okay. Yeah, I think this one's pretty awesome. It's very much less compatible with everything. I mean, skinny arms aren't good for individual ESCs, and it's a very tight build, and you got to use it on 10 micros. Design what we're going to fly.
Yeah, that's how I always described Hyphy, is that it's just kind of a workhorse. Like it's the P-51 Mustang of the drone world. Like you can do whatever you want with it. It will support.
I know we have a 7-inch Hyphy.
What was that?
So we even have like 7-inch Hyphys out there. Like the builds are just totally different every time.
How many people have actually done a 7-inch Hyphy? I know a few people have them, but
I think you're the only one.
okay.
Actually, Pieman might have his half assembled. He's been focusing on his regionals and nationals and stuff coming up. I think you're the only one. So in the last order, I slipped a handful of 7-inch long arms to just whoever had talked to me about it, and I forgot Matt S. is in the chat there, who had mentioned it once before.
I think he's got. I think he's got some now.
Who else?
I think Matt has some 7-inch now.
Yes, something else 7-inch.
Oh, okay. But like the wakeboarding video and the Airchair video, those are both filmed with the 7-inch Hyphy. Believe it or not.
Really?
Yep.
Huh. Those big old paddle props, those can roll?
I was flying it on 6-inch, 60, 48.
How are those on, like if you flip and flop with them, those huge things?
They're great.
Really? That's
that
hilarious.
thing is locked in. Or wait, on the paddles?
Yeah.
It's not as bad as you'd think. It flies. I have not yet tuned it very well.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really say for certain yet. But I don't mind the way it flies at all.
I'm scrolling through the questions here. We got a handful we can catch up on here. We just went on an adventure into Hyphy multi-rotors feature plans. There's a couple questions down the way. We'll get to those that are relevant to what we're just talking about. Always something asks you, are you going to Loctite the motor screws? I'm guessing it's too late for that one.
Nope.
Do you ever Loctite?
Only on builds that have been troublesome. So like retroactively, like if I have a motor come loose a couple times, I'll whip out the Loctite, but almost never.
Oh, I saw this one when you were in the middle of saying something. The Wizard asks, I got a question, Nerk. Want to get some video of a small 4-man boat powered with a giant pulse jet? I don't know what that is, but that sounds awesome.
That sounds awesome.
What's a pulse jet?
A pulse jet?
Yeah.
So the theory behind a jet engine is that it takes air, compresses it, and pushes it out faster than it came in. So with a pulse jet, basically it has an intake on one side and and the jet on the other, and it basically you fire propane into it and burn the propane, and it creates this like self-feeding cycle where air comes in, feeds the fuel and the propane, and ignites, and pushes out the back, and it just goes through and through and through and through and through, and creates a pretty ridiculous amount of thrust. Like, it's not the same as a regular jet. Like, it's significantly inefficient. But like, you can make a pulse jet just go into lows. Like, everything that you would ever need to make a pulse jet is at lows. Colin Furs does a lot with pulse jets.
I subscribed to his channel and was super like, wow, like, and awestruck at some of the cool projects he's doing. I was like, I'm gonna come back here and check all these out and go on a binge. And I completely forgot about it. And you're like the third person that's brought it up. I'm like, oh yeah, and then I'll forget about it in an hour here and never go back.
Colin Furs is it's an awesome channel.
Yeah,
one of my favorites. I think that was like the reason that I did like some stupid builds, like with the toilet and stuff. Like, it just it's the kind of thing that Colin would do.
Okay, so if you ever want to fly or get some footage of a boat powered by pulse jet, a giant pulse jet, hit Eric up. Let's see. Show and Tell Pro asks, are you ensuring you'll be able to do these every Wednesday? Do you have a backup in place for when you're busy?
Yes. And yes. I guess that's 2 questions.
Do I co-host for the backup? Is that when it gets awkward and it's like, man?
Oh, I didn't tell you yet? I mean, if I cannot be here, there will not be an episode. But I will always have content for an episode. Does that make sense? To the question asker?
Let's see. Dismantles asks, why should I switch to acro mode immediately? I'm learning quads, but can fly helis fine.
You can fly much more dynamically in acro mode, and you're going to end up there, so why not start there?
Especially with the simulators, man. It's like cheating. I mean, I cheated when I joined FPV because simulators were out. Like, it was a couple hours of sitting there with an Xbox controller, actually. To learn how to fly in the sims, and it gets you in the air. There's just no reason to go to level mode. Mercury used HD3s plus the Furious module. How does your door fit?
Perfectly.
That is the one nice thing about Furious having those. They're injection molded doors, right? The clear ones.
Yep.
Those are pretty nice.
No stupid ripping your goggles apart and free printing your own doors. And I'm pretty bitter against the Forge. I didn't have a very good experience.
Ezekiel, maybe pronounced that wrong. I don't understand. Nurk says the Helix is really fast, so why doesn't he use it in races? Isn't that the point in a race?
It's too fast and too hard to work on. So you can see how I left the USB able to be touched. That was what I was talking about earlier.
And you routed those wires above? Is that what I'm saying?
Yeah, the 2 of them above and 1 below. So just enough to keep the USB exposed.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a very, very good thing to think about beforehand.
Let's just say I've had some bad experiences. Alright, let's do antenna.
He's using a prototype from Nationals that he would use as go-to frame.
What was that?
We designed the new go-to frame. Night Trainline said he's using a prototype from Nationals where he would use his go-to frame.
Oh.
We just kind of made what we wanted. A new go-to frame. Here's a good one. How do I get a sweet Nurk sticker for my flight case? Got my daughter watching DRL on TV. Stoked to share a hobby. That's really cool. So where's he get a sticker at?
I don't have any stickers.
You don't have any stickers, dude?
Yeah.
I was setting you up so nicely for a plug there, and you don't even have stickers.
I don't even have stickers. I've been meaning to, but you know, life always finds a way.
Those would actually be pretty hot because they're Kira is what you're going for all your branding,
Right?
isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
Kira sticker.
the only other...
I take a Kira sticker. I don't want a Nerk sticker, but I'll take a Kira sticker.
Yeah, for sure. So if you've seen the Nerk T-shirts, I guess I could get some stickers made that look like those, kind of.
Night Train Lane says, when are we going to see some Nerk props or a frame or something?
Well, there is a Nerk frame. And as far as props, I don't have the connections. I don't even have a prop sponsor, so. Well, I guess I kind of have Ideal, but I don't. If I wanted to order or like get some more from them, I wouldn't know who to ask.
Alex says, Nerk sticker. Noun. The bed of turd that gets caught between your butt cheeks after a bowel loosening failsafe, followed by a butt clenching view of your own face in your goggles.
It's like a pot sticker with a
Night Train Lane, you can see the Nerk frame for sale, if that's what you're asking. Nerk's frame. Nerk is Atmospheric Adventures. He has the Kratos. He's his frame. Officially. And that is on Atmospheric Adventures site for sale now. I think they're in stock.
I think there is actually current stock for the original version. Yeah. There's a version 2 maybe coming sometime, but I might be putting more eggs into the Team Indy 5 frame basket.
We just said look in the team channel. I'm guessing that's about the Pulse Jet stuff. I'm just not getting to the chat where we're on that topic. I'll go through these. David Richardson says, is that a team channel? I have no idea. That's just for Team Indy 5. Info that's in there. All right, Johnny Wells says, you may have hinted at a little bit of this, but what is your opinion on Furious over LaForge? I know you use Furious. Why not LaForge?
Because the LaForge is an inferior product.
Ooh. Bang, bang. Yeah, the Furious definitely has some advantages in that it's one-sided. You don't have to pop your goggles apart. Which when you buy a fresh pair of $500 goggles, taking those things apart is so terrifying, honestly, the first couple times you do it. Because you have to... Have you ever done that with your spot, taking them apart? Like,
Nope.
You have to, like... Those tabs, they are in there. Like, they do not... You got to really pull on them. And it's one of those things where when it gives, your hands kind of jerk apart. And all the pieces go flying everywhere. And you're just like, shit, my $500 goggles. That is a bit unsettling if you go that route.
Yeah, no thanks. I guarantee that I would destroy something trying to do that. I might have made that a little long. All right, more smoke. 3, 2, 1. That seemed good.
Smokeless.
All right. Let us connect to computer.
I still run my original Forge, the Forge V1 Batch 2. They were like a month after they came out or something like that. Pretty much just because I got it, I went through the steps to put it together and spent $20 for the doors from, what is it, Grade 3D or something like that.
Yeah.
And at that point, it
You
was
spent
just like...
$20 more on that thing to have decent
It's
doors? That's insane.
rough. I just haven't switched because I haven't had a reason to upgrade quite yet. I don't have frequent video issues. I've never had issues at races.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, only at the I.O. I had a whole bunch of scrolling way in the back. I don't know if you remember me saying that when I was flying. It was nighttime and my video was scrolling and I'm like, what is going on? But with the Forge, it never bothers me. I like having one on either side. Even though it's inconvenient, you can use the printer across the front if you have a printer, but I like standing to the left or right, depending on where it's at. Or... Is it like taking a tablet apart where you have no idea where the plastic clips are? It's kind of like that Except you don't have a giant screen that's going to bend and break, but they snap apart when those things come apart. Oh, you were thinking the YouTube channel Indy 5 needs a thing, or you were thinking that Team Indy 5 needs a YouTube channel. That would be interesting.
That would be interesting.
The only thing with that is that it's mostly, those were not words. The only thing with that is that it's mostly Nick and I that frequently upload everything, which I've been on hiatus for a few weeks here with regionals, but we could probably light a fire under some of the other guys and post a bunch of practice stuff and all that. That might actually be really interesting.
Motors are not. I'm getting the do, but I'm not getting the do.
So they're not initializing. Is your flight controller powering?
Yes, it is.
Is your flight controller set to like D-shot or something? Is it need calibrated? Is that a thing?
I don't know. Oh. I didn't actually do anything there.
Speaking of calibration, did you just do that?
No, I didn't do that.
I would guess you should probably calibrate them right now.
Okay, unplugging, tick on, throttle up, plug in.
Jeff asks, best flight controller. I think we're both switching omnibuses. Is that what you're going to?
I'm using the Omnibus F3.
I think I'm going to go Omnibus F4s, just because whatever. Anything with Betaflight OSD anymore. Honestly, I don't think I'll ever purchase another flight controller without Betaflight OSD.
Yeah.
And that's coming from someone who deliberately chose to fly, Flip 32 F4s with absolutely no bells and whistles for the longest time. I think it's finally there.
So some of them initialize when I unplug the USB. And then I plug the USB in, and some other ones initialize, or maybe the same ones? Hello? We might be back. What was that? I don't know what just happened.
Oh, you're back? They're saying you're back.
Oh, that's good.
I thought it was my end. I looked over and I saw the stream swirling, and Comcast has been finicky over here, but
No,
And I realized that nothing's disconnected.
something like my whole computer just froze, like just completely, and said no, we're done with this. That was sad.
It's a YouTube failsafe.
Yeah, basically. Like, there's only one ESC arming, or initial.
Oh, are we live or no?
What?
Are we live?
Yeah, we should be.
So I was got a PM from Whiteside. He said to first connect to the BL Heli suite, the ESC, and make sure that all of the ESCs are reading okay. And then you may need to flash the latest firmware to it if it's still acting funky.
Alright, so I'm plugging it in. I'm opening BL Heli.
Nick talks about inferior products all the time, but uses a Mac.
Somebody say that.
Ben Kaminsky says Adam needs a new camera or mic or something. Ben, I have a $200 mic, a $150 mixer, and a $150 camera, and it's all being routed through Google Hangouts into Paul's speakers, out the speakers, and back in his microphone with the echo. So that's on his end. We haven't done the tech workout, the whole working out the tech thing to get that routed a bit better.
Yeah, this is only reading ESC 1 and 3.
Uh-oh. Could that be... Are you sure that the power wires are set up correctly on the plug? Like, is all that good?
Say it again.
The power wires on the plug, are those all good?
I don't understand what you mean.
Like the plug that goes from the 4-in-1 to the flight controller, are all of those good?
Or wait, here.
They're
If I like
correct.
push on it, sometimes it reinitializes some, so that must be like smushing something.
Yeah, something too tight and bent in the board or something.
That's my guess.
So in the background, the Wizard posted in our 85 team channel on Slack the aforementioned, what is it, jet propulsion motor? Pulse jet motor. It's like 8 feet tall, dude. It's huge.
Yep.
He wasn't kidding. Yeah, guys, we'll work out the audio routing at some point. Get that all cleaned up.
What are you talking about? This is totally a professional thing. We've got everything figured out.
This is professional over here. I mean, look at this, dude. I got like studio lights for the level to do.
I'm sure Sarah's thrilled.
She walks in the office just like, what the hell are you doing in here? I got a casting couch over there. I got studio lights. I got fancy cameras and tripods everywhere and microphones.
Casting couch. Gosh.
It's a black couch. Actually, that's hers, so that's her fault. Pinching the wires, maybe. Reflashing should fix it, but I don't know if that's...
I can't read them, though. That's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're calibrating.
Yeah, DJ, and yet you're reading your phone. Yeah. I have a nice little iPad that I was going to use for the chat, but, you know, the aforementioned issues with Apple products can't pull up the YouTube chat on my iPad. I don't know why.
Well, and now I can't, like, actually, I can't get underneath the thing because all of the motor wires are soldered to it. Well, if I take off the motor wires... I guess I can still see if I can connect to ESCs if I take those off.
Double A asked again, and he copy-pasted it too, which is great because the first word instead of goggles is Googles will be my next purchase. The Amway looks good, but I feel like we get more out of down B3s. What do you think? That was what I was reading off when all of the stream went down.
Oh.
So we got there, but I was saying something about the Amways. I haven't tried them. I don't know. I've heard decent things about them. Save a lot of money. It's good that there's someone else in the space putting something viable out there.
My opinion is to, if you want to be serious about it, there's a reason that everybody uses the same thing. Like, it's not just because there's only one product. And if you want it to be supported and whatnot, I would just go with what everybody's got. I know that's not a popular opinion, but like, you know, say you go to a race and you can't get your Aomways to connect to the ground stations that are there. The race director is just going to be like, well, you've got stupid goggles. Sucks to be you. If you have Dominators, you know, they're going to work with you to get that issue fixed. Like, it's not a great answer, not a very positive answer, but honestly, I think there's some truth to that.
Yeah, I think it's good that there are other players getting into the space. But I think we really need a player who that's what they do. Like, that is, like, Fat Shark makes goggles. They don't make flight controllers and frames and all these other things, all rebranded or whatever. They make goggles. Like, we need someone like that to step into the space and purpose design something else that'll really compete with them. And also catch, you know, a little bit of hype as well, so that the race directors and stuff aren't going to look at him and say, well, you're not running the standards. So.
Okay, so it looks like the flight controller was not powering on because it doesn't have enough juice to power the camera and the flight controller.
What is your camera powered off of?
The voltage regulator on the ESC.
So you're just overdrawing that regulator? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. So the regulator on the ESC does not have enough power to run both the camera and the flight controller. And we're already running our VTX off of the friggin' voltage.
And you can power your camera behind the VTX. A couple people are saying Chano too.
Well, no, because then I'm drawing all of that power from the regulator.
I thought your VTX is running straight off LiPo.
No, it's running off of the regulator.
Oh.
For that clean, juicy power.
Why aren't you running the Omnibus off VBAT?
Omnibus doesn't run off VBAT. Or does it?
That run cam should run directly off battery voltage. That's risky though.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but then you're just going to get dirty lines eventually, and you're going to hate yourself. Can the Omnibus run off VBAT? I don't think it can.
I thought it could. Someone said in chat, I thought it
I don't think this one can. Let's see.
Omnibus F3V what?
I don't know. I don't know anymore.
TJ says yeah, it can.
Flip 32 Omnibus V3, I guess. No, there's some that have Beck and some that don't. There's a F3 Omnibus Beck and there's an F3 Omnibus V3. I have the regular V3. I suppose I could just connect my camera. Well,
Wi-Fi says it can, but again, more risk. It needs a cap to protect from spikes if you run a flight controller directly off of VBAT.
I don't have any caps.
That is something, there's another thing that I've recently added to all my builds, and along with TVS diodes and all my ESCs that I'll be putting on my new ones too. After the last week or last month's fiasco. It will work direct from LiPo from a VBAT pin. Try it. I mean, The risk is that you might get a spike in power up, but give it a whirl.
Wait, so I would just disconnect 5-volt in?
Yeah, you only need to have power on VBAT. Are you powering it twice now?
I guess I am.
It's already have VBAT connected, so it's no additional risk based on how you have it wired now, because you're already putting it straight to the battery. Yeah, take that 5-volt off so it's not on that regulator, and then just run off LiPo.
But then what is the 5-volt 5-volt rail active then on the...
So that power would wrap back through regulator into the board
It did power
under around that. Or you can use the VSS wire from the SH connector from the ESC. VSS from ESC to VBAT on FC.
That's what I was using, but I also wanted to have battery go into the... Yes, and then if I try to draw 5-volt from the flight controller, it immediately shits the bed. So do I have to power the camera off the back? And the
Are you trying to power the camera off the flight controller?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that. Never power anything off your flight controller except your receiver.
Alright, I guess I'll connect the camera to the VBAT, or to the back on the ESC, because I want the flight controller to have battery, access to the battery. I need to know what the voltage is.
I drive over and school him. I've tried Chris, so it's a lost cause.
No, this just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the controller has a built-in 5-volt VC. Oh yeah, and you need to jump the wire from RAM pin to 5-volt, isn't that right?
What? What was that?
You need to jump the RAM pin to the 5-volt or VBAT.
Why?
100. I remember doing that on it, but I don't remember why. I would disconnect the 5-volt off of, like, don't power the flight controller via the 5-volt. Just leave the VBAT on there.
That's what I'm doing.
That'll route through the flight controller's own regulator and give what on the flight controller needs 5 volts, only 5 volts.
Well, there's nothing on the flight controller that needs 5 volts. What about my receiver?
The flight controller has a regulator on it.
So the
That's
receiver,
putting 5 volts out through those pads. I think you need to short something to those 2 pads to activate that 5-volt ring.
receiver is getting power. Flight controller is getting power. I've not jumped anything.
Maybe it's good. I would multimeter that receiver pad to make sure it's only getting 5 volts. I remember having to jump something to activate some 5-volt pad versus on there. So I don't remember what it was. But yeah, you can't draw enough power off your flight controller to power your camera, your receiver, and your Airchair.
So what I thought I was doing was connecting the camera to the 5-volt rail on the flight controller, but I thought I was only powering the flight controller from a 5-volt regulator on the speed controller. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that the VBAT pad was actually trying to power the flight controller. I thought it was just taking VBAT and putting it into the OSD, so the OSD knew how much power was left in the battery, like what the actual battery voltage was. Does that make sense?
And that's fine. But then you were pulling too much off of the 5-volt rail on the flight controller.
Right, but I didn't think that it was the 5-volt rail on the flight controller that was powering the flight controller. I thought it was taking that power from the ESC back.
Yeah.
So I thought I was using the same back for the flight controller and camera. But it was not the flight controller's back.
So you disconnected the 5-volt, and it's all powering up now?
Yes.
Good.
So
And what's the quad?
I'm going to make sure that the camera is still powering. And then I'm going to solder all of these back on. So this is we're still in the realm of acceptable solutions as long as this works. And all my other quads I have the VBAT and the 5-volt connected, so that could be interesting. Yeah, I've got nothing from the camera.
And that's being powered off of what?
The 5-volt regulator on the speed controller.
Where it says pay attention to what you're streaming.
Oh god. There we go, sorry. So now the camera is presumably not getting power.
Where are you powering the camera from? The ESC?
Yes.
There's no 5-volt out on that ESC.
There isn't?
No.
What the
That's what Alex was saying. There's no 5-volt reg on that board.
What's the red cable then?
The red is VBAT through, isn't it?
I mean, even if it was VBAT through, then it would be powering the camera. Because the camera is 6 to 36 volts or whatever.
So it's VSS, NC, which is no connection, and 1, 2, 3, 4 in that plug.
What does VSS stand for?
VSS is ground. So is the red next to the ground, and then start the motors, because that means nothing. No connection.
I see.
Thought it was bad practice to boot a VTX with no antenna. Are there safety features to protect against heat now? No, it's bad practice.
It's bad practice. I just did it for a very short time.
Yeah. Alex says if he recalls correctly, he thinks he had 3.3 on the NC/red of the ESC, so it may not be powering or providing enough power to power the camera. At that point in the build, we want to take the snips to the nips. We get there with all of them. We're going to figure new stuff out.
Alright, so now the camera is right off VBAT. Actually, let's put an antenna on here. As long as we're mucking about.
I'll be right back. I'm going to grab some more water.
Okay. Snips to your nips. That's gold. Unfortunately, I don't have chat up anymore because of my stupid computer reboot issue. Well, we got video. So we can at least run with that for now. Video works now. So I'm going to put the ESC back together.
We got a new co-host.
Sarah! Oh, it's another cat.
We got a cat. What are you doing?
What are your cat's names?
This one's name is Beastie. This one's Sarah's cat. She named it after what the main character Maleficent called the little girl. Okay. My cat's name is Jamie, after Jamie Carragher, the soccer player that my old roommate from the house in the alley, which we found that cat in. Named her. What's the name of the AO ESC? The foreign one he's using is a detonator.
Sorry, I'm working off camera right now. I'm just trying to get these back together. Here, quick time me. I'm just rewiring the motors right now.
How many viewers do we got right now?
Probably not very many since the restart.
About 60.
No, it's not too bad.
Jammer says, Adam, what do you think of the Wraith ESCs with the built-in LEDs? I think that's pretty good idea. I like LEDs being built in. I like the idea of it. Trying to find. I believe this is my quad with the Wraiths on it.
They're on the wrong side.
I think so. But this is what I do. I put the world's greatest ESC protectors right over, which are not transparent, so you can't see the LEDs. So I actually use the $1 ES or LEDs ready to fly quads. They look like these guys. You just break them off the boards for us. And it's little TP sleeves for them. And I need to put these in Thingiverse. I'll get them up tonight. A few people have been asking for them lately. But every time I've ever put LEDs on a quad, just broken. The boards are broken, the bulbs are broken. Paul smashes in an ass when he's trying to catch up to me on the practice tracks and busts them up or something.
I don't think. I think he said I was going too slow, and Paul hit me incorrectly.
But anyways, ever since I put these on here in November, and we're talking like well over 1,000 packs through these 3 quads, like 3 days a week. 2 of those days are usually 20 to 40 packs. In the winter, it's like 100 pack days sometimes in the fall. Never broken a single one of these cheap LED boards. They're super bright, super good. So I just always just put those TBA things in there. It's a little more weight. It's probably like 5 grams or something total.
Yeah, I'm still only reading ESC 1 and 3.
Is it still freaking out if you put pressure on them or anything?
No.
You lost an LED in one of the 32-bit Wraiths. Probably got a prop strike or something like that. The ESC protection is mandatory. It's not something you just skip. It's like 99% of ESC deaths are prop strikes. Can you make me some teal ones? I only operate in one color.
Ha!
So no.
Okay.
Samantha's asks if you have voltages on the correct pads. You should be reading line voltage with a meter.
What?
She's asking if you're getting all the right voltages where you need them. There are only 2 of them coming in?
Yeah. Motors 1 and 3. At least they're in the right spot. Nope, never mind, they're not.
Oh, that was another question that I read and thought it was a good one. I think it may have been Borg earlier. He asked if Team 95 uses a timing system at our practices. We don't. Might be nice to.
We count it out. So like as you're going around the course, when you finish a lap, you just say 1, 2, 3, and that kind of gives us a relative sense of time at least to each other.
Yeah. So we don't. It doesn't matter what our lap times are. I mean, it'd be nice to. It's fun to beat your best lap of the night or whatever. It would be cool, but it's a lot to lug out to practices and stuff. The TBS Racetracker individual ones. I don't know if any of these guys have them, the new boards in them yet, but I borrowed yours, Paul, and I could not get it to work.
That's right. I forgot about that.
They're one of those really cool ideas that fell short, and then they fixed it, and I haven't gotten back on board yet.
Well, what I think I'm going to do right now is call it there, and just say that it's not quite working yet, and take a peek at it. I'm getting pretty beat right now. I've actually had a really long day. I'm going to take a look at it once I've rested and see if I can figure out what's going on. I'm wondering if I just have some wires reversed or something like that, because at this point I have to tear apart all of the motor wires again and all that stuff. So, I'm just gonna say, and this is good learning for everybody that hasn't done a build yet or will be doing a build soon, is that sometimes things don't go right, and it's better to build when you're rested and focused and not frustrated. I'm not super frustrated or anything, but it's just better practice. So I think that this might be a good place to call it and save some of my components from potentially getting destroyed by me by not having thought it through well enough. So unless you disagree, Adam.
No, but I will say, on an end note, so now you worked through a build, and presuming that everything worked and was shooting along just fine, with what you've had to do in terms of adding the plugs and this and that, where do we feel, or what are we feeling about how viable this is, and if you have to field repairs?
Well, I mean, I've already, since we've been here, I've taken it on and off like 3 times, and it really only took a couple minutes each time. So assuming that we figure out the repeatability issue,
yeah,
and we figure out antenna mounting, I'm worried about still, and we figure out, repeatability really is the biggest issue right now. I think it would be fine. But yeah, right now I don't know what it's doing, and I don't have the patience to troubleshoot it at this very moment. But yeah, so I mean, it looks great. Like, here, let's put a top plate on it. I just want to see it assembled.
That's another thing. I just talked about ESC protection. I have these things that I designed. This is my little QAV R modded brain drain inspired quad that I never really finished. I put these little TPU ESC wire covers on there, but in the spirit of building lighter, more efficient stuff, that's 8 zip ties and 4 3-gram TPU pieces. If you want protection, it's there, but
8 zip ties?
What's that?
8 zip ties?
Yeah, I made it so he's hold on with zip ties, which this is still a fairly light build. Once I had all the components in there and stuff, it was under 300. So.
That's not bad.
Considering I fly 350-gram quads at races, but
yeah,
the old brain drain inspired pod thing, I want to make this work on something. It's so cool. I love his designs. His original, non-cloned, non-inspired designs.
So yeah, that's what it looks like, fully done up with the all that. Here, let's weigh it. I'm kind of curious. See how much, if any, we saved.
Do you have same motors on it as one of your race rigs?
Yep. So 308 already. Add an antenna, add a VTX, 328. Yeah, it's not much lighter. I can already tell.
What's your other one?
What was that?
What's your other one come up to about? Oh, they were like 350.
A little over 350 usually.
So, I mean, it is also just one piece of the equation. If this saves 10 grams, then the frame saves us 15 grams based on the
Yeah,
software and all that stuff. It's all additive. So
349.9, and I still have to put on motor nuts.
oh, they can't see the quad. They see me full screen.
God damn it. 349.9, and I still need motor nuts and battery strap. Not that that's a lot of weight, but yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the other one. But yeah, so Merrick needs a shock collar for this. It's like you're making me like a cam girl or something, where it's like every time you make a donation, I get a shock to the neck.
350G is too heavy now. No, we're just looking to lighten the load a little bit. If you look at the top racers, which is the field that we're running in, their quads are all pretty similar. They're all much lighter. So
yeah, I'm also running right now like 36 gram motors and a 100 gram frame basically. So we already have plans right there to shave. Let's see, I'll shave 20 grams in motor weight and 20 grams in frame weight. So that's already back down to almost 300. And then we have other plans like micro cam. We'll shave a few grams and
less TPU. We don't have to use a big old TPU hunk for the antenna.
yeah, no
All designs
TPU.
are minimalistic.
Yeah, so it should get down there. Just a matter of doing it. So hopefully we're looking at 300, if not 310, which would be fine with me.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, Adam, you're really small all of a sudden.
Tiny Hyphy.
I'll put you right there, just to bug everybody. Hi, I'm Adam Kovitz, and I'm a nerd. Anyway, thank you. Oops, let's just get out of it. I'm gonna go.
Uh-oh. Your collar's shocked.
Thanks, Alex. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it there. I think it would be good for me to just sit back and relax and not blow anything up, as much as you guys don't want or do want me to blow stuff up. But you know what? You win some, you lose some, and quad building is about making sure it works right every time. And if I do it right now, it's not going to work right every time. So, Adam, you have any closing words?
Toodaloo.
I guess not. But yeah, so this has been the FPV live stream. If you're a first-time guest, thanks for joining us. If you're returning, thanks for spending another night learning about drones. And if you're a vendor and you have something you want to see featured on the FPV live stream, don't hesitate to reach out at paulnarcola.com/contact. Otherwise, everybody have a good night and stay flying.